What's up, SAC fans? I'm your host, Brittany Olaf, and this is your SAC Weekly Roundup. I hope everyone had a great weekend and you're having an even better week. Let's jump right into some news from around the conference. First up, Anderson brings on a new Director of Strength and Conditioning, Jennifer Anderson. Welcome to the SAC. Lincoln Memorial Athletic Communications, Alex, did our Instagram takeover yesterday, so be sure to check that out in our highlights. We would also like to welcome Lincoln Memorial's first ever field hockey head coach, Coach Street. Welcome to the SAC. Well, back to the SAC, really. We are less than a month away from basketball season, which is so crazy to say. To check out the schedules and stay updated, head over to our website. Don't forget, we have multiple schools from around the conference who have launched shows and podcasts, which are so fun to watch and listen to, so be sure to look those up when you have some free time. Today is day one of the NCAA Diversity and Inclusion Campaign, with the topic revolving around these three words: my story matters. And yes, your story will always matter. I am so grateful to have had Jason, a senior lacrosse player and the Student Athlete Advisory Committee president for Mars Hill, and Rochelle, the director of track and field cross country at Lincoln Memorial, as well as the Diversity and Inclusion designee, on for a special edition SAC Chat interview. Here it is. What's up, SAC fans, and welcome back to a special edition of the SAC Chat this week. For those who don't know, today marks the first day of the Diversity and Inclusion Campaign with the NCAA. That day will revolve around why my story matters are the three words we're using today, which will explore the identities, perspectives, and experiences. I have two amazing guests with me here today, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Jason Mormon. I'm a part of the men's soccer team and men's lacrosse team at Mars Hill University, and I'm the Student Athlete Advisory Committee co-president here as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm Rochelle Black. I am the director of track and field and cross country at LMU, and I'm the athletic diversity and inclusion designee.
Okay, that one went through. I think everybody can understand that one. All right, so first up, either of you can answer. I would like you both to kind of answer, but first up, how are you encouraging those around you and on your campuses to share their stories and experiences, especially when they may feel like, you know, their story doesn't matter, their voice is, you know, not as big as somebody else's, but of course everyone's story matters. So, you know, what are you guys kind of doing to encourage people that, you know, you need to speak out and you need to tell your story?
Jason?
Yeah, I can handle that. I mean, I can start with personally, I kind of just, as the president of our committee, I really focus on not just the whole committee as itself, but I focus on one-on-one connections and making personal connections. Just trying to help instill confidence, and I think that's an important part of being a leader. It's inspiring others to do things that they might not feel comfortable doing, and getting the people that we can see potential in get out of their comfort zone and then take on these amazing tasks. But on a grander scheme as well, last Sunday we did our peaceful, our unity march here in Mars Hill, and it went phenomenal. There was so many people. We got, I believe it was about 250 students. And it was beautiful. It was peaceful, and everybody just had a great time. And even just letting me speak, and a professor and our university president as well. I heard so much feedback about people that just felt so inspired to want to share their voice. And so many kids came up to me as well and talking about different types of diversity and inclusion that we could do on campus. So we'll get rolling on that as well. But it's great to see that people are finally feel encouraged to do these things.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that March. I saw you guys had a huge turnout. Of course, we'll talk a little more about that at the end, but yeah, go ahead, Rochelle.
No, I was going to say, I mean, with the premise of my story matters, I mean, all of our campuses have thousands upon thousands of kids here, and some come from right across the street, some come from across the country, some from across the water. So just seeing how we all are definitely unique in getting here, but understanding with the premise of my story matters, we have people that, you know, they may think, well, I'm not important, but, you know, me personally, I like to know, how did you get here? What draws you to this area? Even at Mars Hill, what drew you to that area? What makes you not different, but what what are your qualities? What makes you? What are the things that we can use within you to kind of make our school, our sport, our country, our nation, our world a better place? I know it's corny and cliche, but that's the truth of it all.
That's actually funny you say that, because like my next question had to do with that, about diverse and how diverse this country and our communities are, especially in today's world. So the next question was kind of like, how do you guys, you kind of touched on it, but how do you guys maybe identify or pick out common denominators between all of these groups and all their stories, so that as a whole you come off as a unified front, that kind of thing?
Jason, you want to go? You went last time. I'll go, Jason. I think it's a commonality. Just finding that we're not all the same, but in that does make us the same. It's as simple as that. None of us are identical. Even identical twins. I've had those in the past, and they're as different as night and day. And just understanding that while we are all unique and different, that is what makes us the same type of person.
I love that. Jason, do you have anything to say on that?
To go off of that. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think that's pretty much what I was going to say. As uncommon as it may be, as we may be to each other, I think the common characteristics are how different we are, and they should be celebrated in that. The melting pot of, especially universities, especially Division II universities, they're unbelievable. They're just huge melting pots. People from all the countries of Europe, and we've got people from South Africa, Zimbabwe, all the countries in Africa as well, and we have so many amazing, it's a melting pot of unbelievable people, and it should be celebrated as such.
I love it. The melting pot. I like that
right.
term. Melting pot. Okay, so the next question is, do either of you, so you kind of touched on it earlier, Jason, I was saying, do either of you want to share what things you are doing on your campuses? Like you said, like you had talked about, you were doing, you had your march, you brought all these people together, we're still living in a pandemic, but you were able to get these people together, which I think is so important now, and you were able to have those kids tell their stories and experiences. So is there anything you guys want to get out to all the people who are watching, what you're doing on your campuses?
You come back to me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Right, sounds good. Yeah, so we had that march, that Unity March last week, and that was the second one we had in Mars Hill, excuse me. We had one in the summer, and unfortunately the students weren't there because of, not even just because of COVID, just because school was out. But I felt so encouraged to do something, as it was going on in the summer, that, we felt to do something, and it went beautiful. And just seeing another one go so smoothly was great last weekend. But we're also doing things such as just preparing people to vote. We've been doing voter registration, especially on voter registration day. We've been doing it up until we very last couldn't. Last weekend, I'd say registration forms, so people were able to fill those out as well. But we're just focusing on getting people to use their voice, because, as you said, your voice matters as much as you may not think so. Some people, that your singular voice completely matters.
100% it does. I love that. You guys are doing some great things. Anything from you, Rochelle, or do you want to move on?
No. With me having this position as AD/ID, I've been able to sit and see a few different things, and I know as of late, our faculty athletic representative, as well as our SWA, those two have co-chaired a committee regarding diversity and inclusion, and we've spoken to several of the student athletes about diversity, inclusion, and equity within athletics, and it's very enlightening. But just as Jason was saying, getting out and voting, that is something that our school has had functions over, and I guess I'll put in a plug, regardless of who you vote for. It's not just the presidency, but the local legislation as well. Learning that, learning that we have to start with at home before we branch out. We have that going on. With COVID, it has kind of handicapped a lot of things, but I have been able to walk around and see that we do have several functions. One in particular is our Courageous Conversations. I believe it's bi-weekly. It goes on and speaks about not just race, but diversity within socioeconomic backgrounds, diversity within your gender, diversity within your geographic origin. So just learning that with diversity, it's not just black or white, but a multitude of things. So I hope that once COVID kind of dies down, we'll all be able to do a lot more. I think a lot of people are afraid to get around each other, but one thing we are seeing that over these past 6 and 8 months, there are a lot of conversations that need to be had, and they are being had.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's amazing. It's crazy that we're living in this pandemic, but people have found a way to come together and use their voices and speak out when it's most needed. So I love that. You guys are both doing great. I'm glad to hear all this. I'm glad that we can share this with all of our fans too. And then my last question for you guys is, if you had to offer like few words, a small piece of advice to somebody who maybe walks up to you and says, like we talked about, like, yeah, I have, like, they tell you a cool story, a cool experience that needs to be heard. And they're like, but I'm not going to share it because it doesn't matter. What, in that moment, what are you going to say to them in like a few short words? Like, yeah, it does. Like, what's the advice you would give?
Simply put, it does matter. It doesn't get any easier than that. I think that while a lot of people think, oh, well, I want to change the world, or I want to affect a lot of people, that starts by affecting one person. And you may not think that your story does matter, but as we're talking now, it does. And you may tell me something, and what you say may carry on with me, and I may bring it on to someone else. So your story can become contagious, and people may understand it. Wow, I never thought of it that way, and how can I help others?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what has happened now. I think everyone in this past 6 to 8 months, I think everyone shared with their stories, and they became contagious, and it went around the world. I mean, it's not just here in the United States. I think it reached the world. So I think that's really amazing. But yes, Jason, what would your advice be?
Yeah, for them, I'd say it's only dreaming big until you just do it big. People may think that their things are, they may think that it's so small, and that they're so small, but that their idea may be too big. But I personally am a fan of dreaming big. Even for that first March, I actually, in June, I planned it in a week. I realized, I was like, you know what, let's do this. Next Sunday, it's going to happen. And it happened. And it was phenomenal. I got so much support. But like I'm saying, it's only a dream. It's only a big dream until it happens. So by all means, just figure out a way that you can do it, because there's certainly a way that you can make your dreams come true. So that also might have been kind of corny to play on that, Rochelle.
I always like to quote something. I'm going to use the quote in the beginning of when I do the caption for the episode. I'm going to use the quote. But okay, love that. Well, thanks guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if when you see this episode, I'm not sure if you guys are going to look like you're moving, because I'm just now seeing you guys move. The whole time you were frozen, but so I don't know what face it was caught on, so I'm sorry in advance if it's a face like that, but but I heard you guys. I thank you again for coming on today and taking the time out of your morning to be here with us to kick off Diversity and Inclusion Week.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the day.
Absolutely. I've already been up for 4 hours, so I'm going to get a cup of coffee.
I haven't even had my coffee yet. I'm not sure how I'm functioning right now.
Yeah, I'm heading over right now. That's impressive.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys. Well, thank you again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that awesome interview, and make sure to follow along the next 2 days as we have some fun things planned for this week's Diversity and Inclusion campaign. For more info on all these stories, you can find them linked in our Adobe Spark page, which can be found on all of our socials and webpage. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all right back here next Wednesday for the next episode of our SAC Weekly Roundup.